everyone, my name is Jenna. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're heading back to the thrift stores because I have been having so much luck there lately. My recent finds, you guys, have been so good. So I can't wait to share them with you, but you all know the drill. We're gonna first head to the stores and we go through the store together and I point out the items that will give your space a more high-end designer feel. I also give you styling tips and decorating ideas with the items that we find in the store. Then we'll come back home and I'll do a little haul of everything that I found, and I'm going to show you how I style it. So hopefully you can get some fun decorating ideas and just get motivated to see what you can find secondhand for your own home. So hope you all enjoy, and without further ado, let's go thrifting. Okay, so something that I loved were these gorgeous hammered amber glass luminaries. They'd be perfect to have for layering into a rustic casual tablescape for a really warm glow. And there were 3 of them there, and they were only $1.50 each. And I just loved the texture of the glass. And even one styled by itself on a stack of books would be really pretty too. Okay, so this is my aunt's garden in Wisconsin, and she has this beautiful vintage planter that she puts all of her herbs in. So when I saw a similar singular basket, I thought it would be really pretty to maybe put a liner in and then hang on a wall. I love the casual French feel that it has, and this would be such a cute way to display like a little mini herb garden, maybe on a patio or a fence, and all of that chippy paint just gives off such a gorgeous patina. And speaking of patina, something that I love to decorate with in the kitchen are rustic vintage breadboards. And this one was clearly meant to be decorative and even had some hooks on the back to hang it. It was only $7.50, which is crazy because similar boards on designer vintage sites go for much more. And these are so beautiful to just prop up against a backsplash to add a bit of that rustic warmth and give your kitchen that lived-in European feel. Something else that I spotted that I thought was so sweet was this set of impressionist style paintings of children playing near the water. I really love this one of the kids flying the kite, and then this sweet one with the sailboat. And I just thought that these paintings depicted that carefree feeling of childhood really well and would be so pretty to mix into a gallery wall. Now, something that's really big right now is floral patterned accent furniture, and you guys, this chair was only $25, which is crazy because similar chairs online go for over $1,000, and it was in really good condition. There was no visible wear on the fabric, and I actually really loved the color and the pattern on it. And this would be so perfect for a little reading chair in the corner of a room paired with a little side table. I always love to search for unique pieces to use in my kitchen that are both aesthetic and practical, and I thought this little berry bowl was so cute for only $1 to display something like berries or grapes on a charcuterie board. I always search for handmade pottery when I thrift, and I loved the painted floral detail on the sides of this bowl. This would be so pretty to display on open shelving in a kitchen, and also practical to use when making bread or serving salads. I also loved these line canisters that reminded me a lot of the ones they sell on Amazon for $35, and these were a bit more rustic and had more of a darker hue to them, which I really liked. These would be perfect for holding utensils or pens or even art supplies on somewhere like a desk. Next, I spotted this gorgeous bookshelf. I loved the classic tone of the wood on this, and it was only $30, which I thought was crazy because Crate & Barrel sells a similar one for $700, and I really loved the texture and the interest on all of those spindled side pieces. These kinds of pieces are also really great if you're a renter because they can instantly add character and warmth to a big blank wall, and I loved the old world feel that this had and the unique charm of it. Next, I found this pretty compote bowl for only $8.50, and it actually reminded me a lot of the one that they sell on Afloral for close to $50, and I love these bowls for creating really whimsical floral arrangements, and I actually DIY'd a similar one with concrete in a video a while back that I'll link here if you're interested. It's just a fun and easy way to dress up a dining table, and honestly, I am mad at myself that I didn't buy this. I had it in my cart and then I put it back because I was like, ugh, when am I gonna have time to knit? But I just loved the sweet blue and white pattern of this crochet and knitting needle holder for only $4.50. Another thing that I loved was this silver pitcher. This This guy was $8.50, and I thought the shape of it was really beautiful with the long spout, and this would be so pretty styled on a shelf by itself or even on a little side table with some dried hydrangeas inside. And speaking of side tables, I loved this little vintagey spindle table for only $7. It reminded me a lot of the stool that they sell on Anthropology for over $200, and this would make for such a sweet side table next to a sofa or a reading chair just to set down drinks or books or even picked flowers from a garden. Now, I almost got these fringe pillows. I just loved the southwestern vibe of them. They were only $2.50 each, and I thought they'd be really pretty just layered with some other pillows on somewhere like a little bench, but they did not have a removable cover, so I decided against it, but I just thought they were so unique and fun. Something else that I loved was this stunning vintage storage trunk for $50. This is something that you would find at an antique shop for hundreds of dollars. It had a gorgeous patina on it, and this would be great for some aesthetic hidden storage. I love that this trunk had a flat top, so you could actually use it as a coffee table or a side table. Sometimes trunks have a curved top, so the flat top ones can be harder to find since they're a bit more practical in my opinion. Next, I found this really beautiful rounded shelf for only $4.50. This had kind of a French look to it, and I just picture something like this mixed into a plate wall or a framed gallery wall just to help break up the space with something different to add some visual interest. And I'm not sure if the patina on this was real or faux, but it was a really pretty piece that would add so much personality to a space. And something that would go perfectly with the shelf was this gorgeous silver bud vase. I love this piece because it would help to add some height to somewhere like a little shelf or a mantle in a very delicate way. And something else that I thought was such a good deal was this large rustic planter. This thing was only $7.50, and it would be perfect for styling a large faux or real tree in a living space. I loved the distressed look of it, and I couldn't believe that this large of a planter was under $10. And one of the best parts about thrifting is finding those personality pieces, you know, the little tchotchkes that have meaning and are special. And I loved this little woven turtle. My late aunt loved turtles, and I thought this could be so sweet styled on a stack of books. Okay, so now we're back home from the thrift store, and I'm gonna show you guys all of my finds, and you guys, these are so good. So I was so stoked when I found this first find. It is this really beautiful set of rustic stems. Now, it was $7.50 for a set of 3 stems. This one is broken, so I'm just gonna have to like stick it back on there, which shouldn't be too bad, but I was really excited when I saw these because these look very similar to the ones that they sell on A Floral. Right now, I think they're on sale for $38 per stem. They're normally $44 per stem, I believe. And I just love fig stems. I think they have a very rustic look to them. They're interesting and have some pretty foliage and fruit on them, but what I like is that they still have like that rustic branch feel to them. So in my home, I've really started gravitating towards decorating with like twiggy, rustic looking stems, things that have kind of like a taller sculptural feel that just feel like they've been cut down from a tree outside in the backyard. So that's kind of what I gravitate towards right now, just when I'm decorating with faux stems. So I really like that these have that quality to them. And because fig stems have more of a rustic look to them, I think I'm actually going to style these in these really beautiful new pots that I got. Even though it's not actually vintage, it does just look very old world, and they closely resemble French confit pots, which typically go for like hundreds of dollars. So I love that it has like that vintage antique look to it, just very European and old world, but they were actually pretty affordable for the look that they have. So I was excited about that. So I'm gonna use 2 of them right now on our console table and just style these inside, and it'll just give it that really beautiful kind of like primitive rustic look, which I love. So I love that these kind of have a sculptural feel to them, and I love the coloring of the figs, how it's kind of like this mauvey plum color that just fits really well into a lot of different like decor styles and still adds a little pop of interest and color, but is still like more muted and earthy looking. So definitely a really good find with these ones. Okay, so this next thing, a little bit too big to show you guys right here on camera, so I'm just gonna insert footage, but It is a series of finds. So this is a total of 3 things that I found at 3 separate stores, and I put them all together, and I'm literally obsessed with how it looks. So it's kind of a little bit of a story, so I'll give you some background. If you guys remember, in my living room makeover, I have this beautiful, tall Audrey ficus tree, and I wanted to put it in some sort of pot just to have it look a little bit more aesthetic, but I didn't have anything super large, and as you guys know, large pots are very expensive. So I just used one that I had previously put our large tomato plants in. I kept those, but they're just like large plastic bins basically, and they didn't have like that look that I was going for in our home. I wanted something very substantial, large, maybe like clay or terracotta, just like an earthy feel. And one day I came across it at Goodwill for $20, you guys. And it was exactly that beautiful, like kind of chippy, terracotta, earthy look that I was going for. This thing was super heavy, it was super large, and I could not believe that I found it for only 20 bucks. It totally has that like southwestern earthy vibe that I'm going for in our home. But I did look at that space and I was kind of like, you know what? Another piece of decor or 2 would really make this space feel layered and rounded out and just like kind of complete it. So I was kind of like, it looks nice for now, but if I found something like a little chair or another larger vase to kind of layer in there, I think that would be perfect and just make the space feel a little bit more complete. So a couple days later, I was at another thrift store and I found this really pretty kind of like primitive piece of pottery with a stand. And what's funny is I actually missed it the first time because it had these florals in it that I didn't really love. Like they were okay, they just didn't go with my space. So I almost missed it because it was hiding under like the big bush of the florals. So I did my second pass around the thrift store, which you guys know is like a big thrift tip. You always got to do a second pass because sometimes you see things that you missed the first time. So the second time I took the flowers out of there and I noticed like this beautiful kind of like primitive pot that had those same earthy tones that I was looking for. And this guy was only $6.50. So obviously I snagged that up and I just kind of held it for a little while. I didn't know where I would use it, like maybe on a shelf or something, but I found that one and I just kind of like put it away in my thrifting pile. So sometimes I collect things just because they're like a good find and I know I'll use them, but I just have to work out where I'm going to use it later. So that was kind of like what happened with that piece. And then this is like the final one that I was the most excited for, and it tied it all together. I was thrifting one day and my eyes immediately locked on this gorgeous, large, rustic, kind of like primitive pottery piece in another stand. And this guy was only $50. And you guys, I was so shocked because this appears to be a Tarahumara pot, which is an Indian tribe in northern Mexico. So it's really interesting because they live in these very harsh conditions in the mountains of Mexico. And a big part of their culture is living off of the land and the connection with the earth. And you can really see that through their artistry and their pottery. The pottery was actually made by coils and it's not hand thrown. So typically they would coil clay and then blend that all together. And then they would fire that in the earth, which I just think is so cool. And so this appears to be a Tarahumara piece. And what's crazy is I looked this up online and these are typically like thousands of dollars, which is crazy. Truthfully, I feel like this looks like it belongs in a museum. It has a really beautiful kind of like rawhide rope on it. It's just a really interesting piece. And the Tarahumara have a very distinct look to their pottery, which I really love. So I do know that in like the 60s and 70s, they did have like American made Tarahumara pots. So they would follow like the same practices, but they would just replicate them here in the States. And those are some of the pieces that are still going for thousands of dollars online. So I felt like I scored with that one, and it was like the perfect piece to round out a little group of 3 in that corner with the pot, with the tree. And you guys, I just love how this turned out. It really does to me just look like something that should be in a museum, and it's a really beautiful display of artistry and something that was handmade by people who value their connection with the earth. And I just look at it and I think it's so special. Also, all of the pieces go so well together with the coloring and like the earthy kind of like clay-like color. Each one is a little bit different, but they all go together. It's almost like they were a set. And I just love like the primitive earthy look of them and how it has like a Native American Southwest look to it, which really helps to tie into, you know, the feel that I'm trying to create in our space, because I really do love taking inspiration from my surroundings here in the desert. We are surrounded by a lot of Indian reservations here in the Southwest, and I just think it's really a neat thing to be able to incorporate into my decor. And each one of these was such a special find, and I really do feel like I was like meant to come across them because they go so perfectly together in this space. So those are probably like honestly some of my favorite finds of all time. Like I know I've had a lot of finds, even like antiquing and at things that have been professionally sourced. These are probably like even more than that because I just found them sitting at a thrift store and they're so valuable to me. Okay, so pretty much since like the start of me thrifting, I've kept an eye out for a really beautiful tablecloth, and I really just hadn't found anything. But the other day I came across this beautiful vintage inspired blue and cream tablecloth, and this guy was $8.50, which I felt like was a really good deal considering other sites sell these for much more. And what I really like about the concept of a tablecloth is it's kind of an opportunity to transform what you have permanently into something that can be unique and special for like the time of a gathering or a party. So, you know, out on our porch we have like this very southwestern dark wood table that I actually found on Facebook Marketplace for like $100. I do think that I'm going to refinish it in the future to something a little bit more rustic looking and like old world feeling, but for now it looks pretty like that dark color. I personally really do kind of love like a lighter European feel as well. So those are like the two main styles that I try to blend in my home, is like a southwestern Spanish feel also with like a more light, airy kind of like European old world feel. So I feel like this looks very French to me, which I love. So just by putting this on our dining table, I'm kind of able to transform that like southwestern feel and make it feel a little bit more like French and light. And you know, I can put things on the table that kind of give off that like rustic European feel. It also makes it feel a little bit more feminine, a little bit more dressed up, and a little bit softer, adding those textiles in there. So this was such a find. I love the pattern on it. You guys know I love my blue and white. I think it's something that looks very classic and timeless, but it's a fun way to add a punch of color. Okay, so next is something that I don't normally gravitate toward, but I know a lot of people do, and it is glassware. So I actually found this really beautiful kind of like scalloped pedestal bowl. And typically I'm not like a big glassware person. Like I do love it when I find the right piece, but I'm not like a collector or anything. I just thought this one was so pretty and I did not want to pass it up. This guy was $6.50. And what I really liked about this was that it was a smaller size, but it had a pedestal to it. So because of that, there's so many things that I can use this for. And I like that the little pedestal adds some height and visual interest, so it'll make it really easy to style in with other pieces. I liked that this one was a smaller size because I can use this for my smaller cut flowers. So right now we don't have any flowers in our garden just because it is the dead heat of the summer and like everything is just like in survival mode. But once it starts to cool down in a couple of months, I'm gonna start hopefully planting some little cut flower gardens. So it'll be nice to do things like zinnias or, you know, gomphrena, stuff like that. So typically when I cut my florals, things like roses and that, I don't want to take off a huge giant stem. Things just don't grow like that fast here. So I like to kind of take little bits off, and I like that this was a smaller size so I can fill this with water and just have like a couple of pretty, you know, buds or like smaller stems in here, and that will still look really pretty, but I don't feel the need to like chop off a huge stem or, you know, have a lot of stems. I think this will be really pretty and delicate, and it's just a nice size to use as like a little decorative bud vase, but still has like some height and weight to it, which I really like. It also would be really pretty to just pop a candle in this and style this amongst a tablescape or on a shelf, or even use it to like hold nuts or candy or whatever. If I'm having people over and I just need something pretty to like put a little appetizer or a snack in, this is really cute. So I loved the scallop detail on the top. So really cute find and good deal at only $6.50. Okay, so another thing that I love to keep an eye out for at the thrift stores are just like beautiful coffee table books. So I was able to find this really pretty Venice book, The Art of Living. This guy was $3.50. And you guys know when you're at the thrift store, you always have to remove the cover to see what like the inside of the book looks like. So This one was a really beautiful like blue linen book. So this is what I'll use when I display it. I love like the French, Italian, Spanish decorating styles. So this book specifically is about how people live in Venice. And even though it's an older book, I feel like a lot of the photos of the homes and the decor in this book are very timeless. And I just find that really interesting to flip through this book and see photos that look very timeless, really classic, and not even really know when this book is published. I tried to find like the copyright and all I could see was that it was printed in Italy. I guess I could probably look it up, but it does seem that this was published around the 90s just based on like what people were wearing. And then another reason I like this book was that it was a navy blue color. So typically when I find coffee table books, they're usually neutral, you know, maybe something like a little white or cream or gray or brown. So we have blue accents going on in our main living area. We're gonna incorporate a blue backsplash tile in our kitchen. We do have like a navy indigo blue sofa. So I like kind of spreading that blue around the room in subtle ways to make the space feel really cohesive. So I love that eventually I'll be able to use this on our shelves in our living room and it will kind of tie in that blue accent and make it feel really intentional. So for now, I'll probably just pop it on our coffee table, but I was really interested in this book and the fact that it was only $3.50 was really, really good. All right, everyone, that about wraps up this thrifting video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it because it's a free and easy way to help support the channel and it makes it so that I can keep doing videos like this and sharing it with you guys. Also, make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss my future home decorating and fall decorating videos that are coming up. And let me know in the comments down below what kind of thrifting content you like seeing the best. Do you guys like the shop with me portion a little bit more? Do you like the haul portion more? Or do you like doing the combination of both in the videos? It's nice to know that just to take into future consideration when I am creating these videos, what kind of stuff you guys like to see the most. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful and fabulous week and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!